Finland has been ranked the happiest country in the world to live in. And this isn't the first time. In fact, it's been at the top of the global happiness ratings for many years now. But there's something about this that doesn't quite make sense, because Finland isn't known for being one of the most outgoing, social or energetic countries. In fact, it's known for the opposite. In comparison to countries like the UK, for instance, or America and Brazil, it has more of a quiet culture, long, dark winters, and a lifestyle that on the surface many would say looks a little miserable. So what's Finland doing that's so right? Why does happiness continue to rate so highly in that country? And what does happiness actually mean? Because it can mean one thing for me and another for you.
I love how honest the people are and how reliable everything is.
I love living in Finland because things work here. Public transportation works. Healthcare system's awesome.
Feel like I don't have to worry about where I go or what time of the day it is. And I also feel like I'm treated as an equal, as part of society, and it feels like everyone's very inclusive and welcoming.
You're probably wondering how this is all being judged. Well, Finland has been ranked the happiest country according to the World Happiness Report, which I guess we should trust. It was supported by the United Nations and therefore it stands. And this ranking isn't based on vibes and general mood and how the people that were judging it were feeling. No, it's based on facts. How do you judge happiness? It's so subjective. People are asked to rate their lives on a scale. Specifically, they're asked questions like how satisfied they are with their lives currently. And then that data is combined with key factors like GDP per person, so things like income levels, healthy life expectancy, social support, freedom to make life choices, generosity, and perceptions of corruption. Now here's where it gets a little interesting. Finland doesn't necessarily rank high in all of the categories, but it does rank top in almost all of them, and that's why it's always so high up. And there's something even more important to understand. Happiness in this sense isn't about constant joy, excitement, and always smiling. It's more about life satisfaction. Someone can have a stable job, access to healthcare, and a safe environment and not necessarily feel excitement all the time, but still feel a sense of satisfaction overall. And that right there is the reason why Finland has done so well in the happiness ratings. One of the biggest predictors of happiness in Finland is trust. And it isn't just personal trust, it's institutional trust. People in Finland generally trust their government, their police, their healthcare system, and even strangers. For instance, Finland consistently ranks low for things like corruption. People don't expect to be treated unfairly by the system or for the odds to be stacked against them. And this has a massive psychological effect. And if you think about it, if people feel that the system is fair, they're more likely to worry less and feel less frustrated. So this in and of itself is enough to increase people's life satisfaction. 2, Finland has one of the most respected education systems in the world, and it's not for the reason you expect. Students have less homework, shorter school days, and less standardised tests. But you won't believe it, they still do extremely well globally. And this is because the system focuses on things like equality, well-being and long-term development, things that a lot of schools and countries don't focus so much on. They're not just looking at the results, how well students do, they're looking at the bigger picture, how each child does overall. Teachers are highly trained and respected, and importantly, education is free. You've probably gathered that these regulations reduce financial pressure, stress, and long-term concerns around education. 3, Finland has a strong healthcare system. It includes universal healthcare, unemployment support, parental leave, and child benefits. And I'm sure this doesn't mean that if anything happens, everything's going to be perfect and every illness is going to be treated, but one thing it does ensure is that whenever there is an issue, that person feels that they're not alone. That security is what keeps the healthcare system flying. A lot of stress in life doesn't necessarily come from what's happening right now. It's more about what could happen and what type of security do we have in place to deal with those situations. And Finland has successfully dealt with those type of concerns. For Finland isn't the richest country in the world, but it's definitely one of the most equal ones.
For Finland, gender equality has always been very important globally, but also internally, because we are a small nation, nation of 5.5 million people, and we couldn't cope if we wouldn't use all of the resources of all of our people, and we need everybody on board, every gender, every generation. We need everyone on board to making sure that Finland will cope and drive in the future.
The gap between rich and poor isn't as big as it is in many other countries. And this matters because research has shown that a lot of people don't care necessarily about how much they have. It's more about how they compare to others. So in more equal societies, there's less visible inequality, less status anxiety, and less pressure to constantly compete. 5. Finland has over 180 lakes, astonishing, vast forests, and easy access to nature. Nature is a big part of everyday life in Finland, and a lot of people use nature to get out, to get some fresh air, to ease themselves of the pressures of life.
I stay up 2 in the night just to enjoy the light. It was amazing.
It's just, when you're sitting in nature and you look at a lake with the trees around you, it just feels to me like a warm cashmere scarf just wrapping up.
Research consistently shows that nature has an impact on lower stress, better mental health, and improves well-being. 6. There is a culture in Finland of enough is enough. People aren't chasing more money, more success, or more recognition. And it doesn't mean that people aren't ambitious. It just means that there's less competition and fewer people that are trying to prove themselves. And that right there has a huge impact on things like chronic stress. And don't get me wrong, Finland definitely still has its own challenges, as does every country. They have long periods of darkness in winter, relatively high taxes, and mental health issues. So it's not a perfect country. I actually would argue that there is no perfect country. But that makes it even more astonishing that it's ranked so high for so long, regardless of these issues. In summary, Finland isn't the happiest country because everything is amazing and there aren't any problems or concerns. It's more because people are generally just satisfied and everything is pretty much stable. And because people trust the system, feel supported, and don't always feel like they're falling behind, that's what's keeping Finland in everyone's good books. When we think of happiness, we usually think of achievement, success, excitement, but Finland shows something a little different. Happiness can sometimes come from things like security, balance, and a life that feels manageable. And that's probably not as glamorous, but it might be more sustainable. For more videos like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.